Welcome to Ejay'S podcast, where we talk about real life experiences, talking to various people around Europe, talking about their lives, their experiences living in Finland, living in Norway, Denmark, wherever they live. So they're going to be sharing their experiences with us today. I'm here with some of my nearest and dearest friends, and to my left I have
Mr. Augustine Jibrin.
Yes.
There's Chijoke Festus.
Welcome. And to my right?
Musa Thompson.
All right, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for coming today. So, first of all, why Finland?
That's an interesting question.
Yes.
I always say on my own aspect, I came in as a professional football player. And as a professional football player, we're looking for a platform to showcase our talent and find our way into Europe. For me, I was an agent saw me back home in the country and brought me down here to Finland and told me that Finland is a stepping stone for me to achieve greatness in my career.
We can see how far the career has gone from here.
It's been awesome. I had to stop at early age because of injury, but aside that, it was really fun. I could say from my own part that it was a great experience.
Yeah, we have to hold you there. Okay, why Finland?
Well, I think I have similar things like Austin also. Actually, my elder brother was playing here in Finland already.
So we all have football stories, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, of course, he called me. I had a different alternative to play in Turkey, but he called me that it would be a really good platform to start up my football career. And then I decided to take the opportunity and move to Finland.
Mr. Musa, do you have the same story?
Well, I actually have, excuse me, I actually have a very similar story like the Austin and UK, but with a bit of spice to mine because I came into Finland primarily as a student, but behind my back I was already thinking that I'm going to be a professional footballer.
This is interesting because I think everybody in Nigeria always have this football thing behind at the back of their mind, which I think is common with all of us. No matter what you do, whether you're a student or whatever, you always think professional football is the way.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting because I also have a similar story, but mine, I will say with a bit of a twist. But let's focus on you gentlemen for now, because I know you've been here for a lot of years now. You've been here for quite many. I think we came in at the same time. And I think Mr. Musa as well, has been here for a long, long time. I want to ask though, at what point in life or at what point of your life did you realize you wanted to live here permanently? Because I think we all live here permanently as of now. So at what point did you guys come to the realization that this is the place for you to stay? I'll start with you, Mr. Musa.
Okay, great. Well, that's a very interesting one because when I arrived in Finland, I totally believed that I'm not going to be here for a very long time. And just to have it on record, I'm living in Finland now. This is my 11th year in Finland.
11 whole years.
And I always believe at the beginning of it all that I'm just going to be here for probably 2-3 years at the max. But it comes to me, or it gets clear to me after my 3rd year in Finland that I think I will be living here for a very long time. The more I lived in Finland, the more I realized that there is a lot to live for around here.
Interesting.
It's a peaceful place, it's a nice place. Of course, there are good places here and there around the world, but at my 3rd year in Finland, I realized that I could live here for as long as
Austin, do you go in the same line as what Mr. Musa is saying? He's basically saying it's peaceful, he can live his life the way he wants to. I share some of it, but I don't really necessarily agree with all of that. I have my own reasons, but I'd like to hear from you, gentlemen.
I should concur with that. When you talk about peaceful atmosphere, the country status and things like that, I think I would go with that. It's peaceful in a kind of way, but you all know that in every country there's always an ups and downs.
Yes, definitely.
There's no 100% assurance that the country is totally 100% peaceful.
Very correct.
But one thing I want to say about the Finnish culture and things, because I've been doing a lot of research and trying to find out a lot of things about the country.
Yes.
I found out that even in the past, they have this kind of African culture background too. How they take care of their kids.
Interesting you said that because I never heard about that, and I've never done any research, to be honest. I'm just living here.
That's the interesting part, because I have this kind of idea with about life, that when I go somewhere, I want to find out about the culture, so that I can adapt in easily and try to know how the people work.
And not to cut you short, I think that's one of the problems that we Africans have here. When we come here, people don't learn about the place, don't do any research. They just start living here with no idea what's happening, the business level or work ethic, nothing like that. Yoki, I think you have a totally different story.
I would spice up something to what Gina just said now. I think the biggest problem that most foreigners have, or I would say most Africans have, is that when they live in Africa,
yes,
they have a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure.
This is very correct.
There's so much in their mind when they're moving here. But yeah, I think that people should, when you travel to a different country, you should try to integrate first and get to learn. For example, if you come to Scandinavia and Finland, where they speak Finnish, which the language itself is really big cultural difference. The language tells about like almost everything. So
that's very true. That's very true.
You don't even understand the language. You don't understand the people. It's really hard, And
can't integrate without. You really need to get to know the culture, the language, and everything.
Yeah, most Africans want to. Of course, everyone wants to succeed, but you have to take life step after the other.
True.
When you really get to understand the culture, understand the people, then you get to see a lot of opportunities here.
I like the point that you brought up about taking life step by step. But we all know, I'm going to raise this point, and I think you all will have an input to it. We all know that when you live as an African, especially as a Nigerian, when you leave home, there's a lot of responsibility on your head about surviving, succeeding. The day you step out of the country, that's the first day your family start counting. How much are you going to bring back home? So it kind of conflicts the fact that people need to integrate. That's why when we get here or when we go to a better country, so to speak, people just first they're just looking for a means to make ends meet right away, which I think is it's probably one of the problems that we face. But Musa, what do you think about this situation?
Well, it's very interesting topic that we are dealing with here, I would say, because just like Chidoke said in his last point, when Africans get into Europe, for example, I myself, when I get into Finland, I was going to a city called Rovaniemi. And even when I left Nigeria, as a young Nigerian living in Nigeria, I don't even know where the city that I'm going is located in Finland.
This is one of, I'm laughing now, but this is one of the biggest problems. We'll get back to you. This is one of the biggest problems of us that we face, going to a place, like a footballer. You were told that getting to Europe, you're gonna make it and all. You have no idea what the country is about. In fact, when I was coming here, I didn't know that the country is as cold as it is. I came here with summer clothes, all summer clothes. So that's to say what you said.
Yeah.
But continue with your point.
Yeah. So it's quite an important thing, and that's why I would like to encourage everybody that is listening to this podcast to actually get this podcast out and get it to as many young people as they can get it to, because this is going to actually give them a good knowledge of wherever they want to go to, be it Finland, be it Germany, be it Spain, wherever you want to go to. All these countries are countries that doesn't have English as their primary language. This is another problem. So one thing that we all have to do as a young Nigerian living in Nigeria to countries that we really don't know much is, first of all, know what the country is all about. Understand where you are going from the country. Know what kind of culture the country actually have.
All right, so Mr. Austin, what's your take on the integration? Do you think that foreigners integrate properly, easily, quickly? Do you think as Nigerians, when people come here, do you think they make it an obligation to integrate before really getting into the system? What's your take on that?
I think one of the big problems about this is there's this mentality back home in Nigeria that when you come here, you just find out everything goes smoothly for you.
I think that makes all of us.
And that's why I think there's need for orientation before you come over, anywhere you go in Europe. Because I could... last time, I think, in my football career, there's this player that came visiting some time ago in Finland, and he came here with just slippers.
Bathroom slippers.
Yeah, better slippers in the winter time. You can imagine, and we're at the airport to pick him up, and we saw him.
Oh goodness!
It's unbelievable. My boss shouted, "What?"
So basically, he had no idea where he was going, what to wear. In fact, to the most simplest thing of what to wear he was going.
It was unbelievable. You need to see that on that day. I was like, "What?"
Wow.
And then my boss turned and looked at me. I couldn't say anything. That's why I said there's need for orientation.
Yeah.
You need to know where you're going, how you're going to adapt, what's the situation of the weather, the people like, so that you can know, when we talk about integration, when you come here, that's when you integrate. But over there, before you come,
get a knowledge, basically know some things about the
stuff
place.
about that before.
I mean, we all saying this. I mean, of course, we're looking at it from the inside out. When I was in Nigeria, or before coming here, most people are not very interested in learning about the place they're going. The first question people ask is, what am I going to do there? Do they make money there? It's always, do they make money? Am I going to be there? Am I going to be able to make a living there? So people are always just looking at the benefit that comes with the place, not really getting to understand the territory, the thing. But Yoke, being someone who's been here for a lot, plenty of years, what would be your advice for somebody who's about to migrate to Finland or anywhere, any part of Europe? What would you advise such people to do?
Well, basically, I think that from my own point of view, I think it's important to first on your own try to read about the place you're going to.
Yes, very correct.
Get to understand a little bit about the place you're going to, and if possible, if you have a few friends or relatives or someone that could give you a little tip about what you're gonna,
what you're gonna face when you get here. Yeah.
Because I've also, like what Austin just said, I've also encountered some people also who have moved to Finland, and character-wise, it's really funny how you see how they behave when they come over here,
I can relate to that. I'm sure we all can relate to that. Because we've always, all of us here, I'm sure everybody has had one or two people who has come here and just, and this is a problem with, with we Nigerians especially. When we move to a place, you meet people there who have been there for 10 years. Instead of you getting closer to them, get some knowledge about the place. You tend to see people who want to do things on their own. No, I don't want to listen to him. I think it's always important to listen to people who are here. What's your take on that, Bramos?
Well, for sure, it's very important to listen to people that are ahead of you, wherever you go to. And in the case of living in Europe...
So, we always have those people who come and they look down on people who have been here for a while. I'm sure, Musa, you've also had that similar experience.
Well, for sure, and that's why I will advise everybody first to know where actually you are going to.
Yes.
If there are even Africans like you living in there, and preferably if there are Nigerians living in the same city just like you. My own experience personally, there was no Nigerian living in the city that I traveled to.
Yeah, far up north where it was cold.
After Rovaniemi.
That's because you're totally up north. That's
well, exactly. It's Rovaniemi for me. Then I know nothing about it, and eventually it's the end of the world. Because for me, I believe that there isn't anything after Rovaniemi anymore. It was so cold, it was unbearable, and obviously I really don't have much. And of course, there were no Nigerians, no Africans living there, so I have to learn everything all by myself, which makes things very, very difficult. And so, likewise, also, if you are really going to a place, you need to know. If I knew where I was going to, that wouldn't have been a big problem for me. Probably I would have sorted myself even beforehand. But these things really happens to a whole lot of Africans, and that's why podcasts like this is very good to prepare our minds for new ones coming in.
Interesting. Austin, I have to ask you a totally different question from what I asked Mr. Musa. Speaking of the footballers aspect, for a young football player who's coming to Nigeria, who's coming to Finland to market themselves or look for a better opportunity, what would be your biggest advice for such people?
Well, I would say regarding this issue, I would say now the world we live in now, it's a global world.
Yes.
You don't need to even get to find out from people or from friends everything. You can just go to the internet and do some research to find out how the country looks like and things, most especially the culture difference. Okay, as a football player, you're coming into the country, you have the talent, you have the skills. You cannot succeed because, like my dad used to tell me, that a tree cannot
stand on its own.
So you need branches, so stuff like that. You cannot succeed alone, even if you have those skills. You still need people to push you. You need people to guide you. So if you come to a place, it doesn't matter if it's Finland or wherever in Europe, but try to get acquainted to the people around. Get to know the culture. That it helps you to adapt easily into the game, and at the same time, easy to live in the country. If you don't do those basic things, then you'll find it so difficult for you to win.
That's actually very true. But also, sometimes when I found, I noticed this in most of the players who came after us, that when they come, and you as a person who has been here, when you tell them about the things that are happening or what they should avoid, they always think about it the other way. Oh, he's been here anyway, he doesn't want me to get this, he doesn't want me to get that, which is always very wrong, which I think is very wrong, because most of the time when they go the other way around, the results come back negative. I'm sure, okay, you've seen people like this.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because I've been living here for a long time now, for about 15 years, and so many players have come after us. And especially when they come here and they find themselves in the top league, the ears are blocked, they don't listen to anything. And I think that the biggest problem is that we always forget when we come here that success is not a destination. You have to keep working hard.
Yes.
And when we come here, we think that's it.
That's it.
It's Real Madrid. And then we get distracted by the things we see around us.
Is that relaxing?
And then we feel too relaxed, and we stop working hard. We lose the focus, and after a few years, what happens to this player? You see him end up like every other player who hasn't worked.
The same result.
So when you come across these kind of people, you feel like it's your responsibility to help integrate, in the sense that you have to keep working hard. You have to keep pushing. This is not Real Madrid. This is not the end of the whole football team. You have to push. Forget about the because most times most Africans, when they come here, they are too focused on the wages, But successful people don't focus on wages. They have a goal, and they keep fighting for that until they achieve that. And I think if from my advice for young people or young players who are coming to Scandinavia or to Finland to play football, I think, is to have this in their mind and their head, that you have to keep working hard, no matter what you find here, no matter how hard it is, no matter how cold it is. Just keep pushing, and you'll get to the top someday.
Yeah, that's a very wonderful.
Sorry, because I could say something regarding what you just said there, because there's this philosophy, this kind of ideas that these African football players have, this mentality in them. When they come here, because maybe they find themselves playing in the highest league in Nigeria and wherever they're coming from, they think when they come down here it's a pushover. Because Finland, you and I know that Finnish football is not one of those.
Not at the top level yet.
So everybody thinks that it's a pushover. When they come here, we run them down.
Things just happen for you.
And they come here with this inferiority complex stuff thing, and they don't regard anybody. And then when they find themselves in the deep shit, then they realize, oh no.
I think that's a lack of sportsmanship, because as a professional, wherever you get, you need to work hard. And that also leads me to a very important question, and I think all of us here will probably have different opinions about it. Settling down with a Finn. Do you think, personally, I want to ask this question because it's important for the younger guys, the younger generation, people who are migrating here. Do you think it is a necessity? Is it so important to do that? You were saying, Musa?
Yeah, in addition to what Austin and Yoki actually said regarding them footballers coming to Finland and not adjusting and whatever the situation is. For me, because I've had the parts as a football player and as a student.
Yes, both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story. And one thing that I found very, very important is ability to communicate.
Very key.
Anywhere you go around the world, if you cannot communicate, then you cannot do anything.
You can't really survive.
So, and that comes down to the fact that that's one thing I would say first, that no Nigerian actually take pay attention to these things. Because when we are going to any country, aside from the countries where they speak English, for example, the US, the Canada, the Australia, the England,
Yes.
no any other country have English as an official language. It's either you speak French, you speak Spanish, you speak Finnish, you speak German, and whatever. And when you go into a country and you don't understand this language, this is your first point of problems as a young African, as a young Nigerian. So for me, I would advise everyone that wherever you are going to, first of all, understand the fact that what language are they speaking there? You are not meant to learn the language, but be familiar with the fact that you are going to a territory that you don't understand their language and you want to learn their language. And that will actually give you a heads up when you arrive in.
Sorry, please, I can remember my playing days when I was playing in El Salvador. I went to that country with no knowledge of Spanish, nothing, and I got there. But what you said about the communication thing is good. It's a good thing. But something I wanted to add about that is when you have this, if you don't have this complex thing, and you can associate and you can
people,
interact.
yes.
You know, if you're a social person,
usually.
I think this language thing shouldn't be a big barrier for you.
Problem, yeah.
Because I use myself like an example. When I went to Salvador, I know nobody, nothing. I have never heard anything about that. I just land into the country and straight to training. 2 days I played a game without the knowledge of Spanish. But because I'm a social and a friendly guy,
You were willing to, yeah.
you know,
you were
I was
willing
trying
learn.
to, you know, I was just going first thing the basic things. Hello, hola, basic things.
Personally, I have to oppose to that. The reason I'm opposing to that is because personally, when I came to Finland, I had no intention of staying here for this long.
Yeah, I remember you wanted to go to.
I was always. I mean, I think that's the goal of every Nigerian or every African footballer who come here.
Absolutely.
We always have that dream of, okay, this will be a stepping stone. From here, you get to Spain, get to England. So I always had that behind the back of my mind that I was gonna get somewhere else from here. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't pay attention to the language. I wasn't interested in learning the language. I remember the first club I signed here. The president of the club actually enrolled me to finish teaching classes just for me to learn, because he wanted me to be here for a longer period of time. But I wasn't willing because I thought I was going to leave. So I think that also plays a part, depending on what your mindset is, whether you're going to be here for long. But I think overall, like what you've all said, you get there, whether you're going to be there for long or not, it's important to, to kind of integrate, learn, know the culture and all that. So I think you made a very important point. But I want to ask one final question, which I know we all have different opinions about, and I don't want to get into your own stories personally, but I want your views on this from an outside point of view, not because of your own personal stories, which you all have. For people who migrate to Finland, as a young man or as a young lady who migrates to Finland or who came here for football, do you think settling down with a Finn should be on purpose? When I say on purpose, it means you find love, you start living, because there is there's a mindset that goes about that. We see people are pressured to say, I've seen marriages where you personally, people that I know have been in marriages for 10, 15 years with people who are not of this, of an African culture or background. So it means it works somehow. But do you think that people who come here are they pressured to get into these relationships, or do you think it should? I mean, should it be purposeful, or should it be okay? I'm here anyway. This is the only thing that can work for me. What's your take on that, okay?
Personally, I have a different opinion about that. Like I said, we all came here. Many guys came here differently, and
yes.
I think from the onset, I've always had that in mind that I was gonna get married here, but of course, I didn't know if it was gonna be a Finn or anyone. But I was just looking for someone with a reasonable character that we can communicate.
A proper companion, yes.
And I had this one old uncle who told me a story about he's been living in Finland when he was younger and other parts of Europe, and he kind of told me a story about settling down, like it's a way to keep you focused in what you're doing. So actually, I from onset, before even I left Africa, I already had that in mind, that I was gonna get married to someone in Europe. I didn't know if it was white or black, but someone with a good character.
Yeah, proper,
But on getting here, like Musa said, it was hard to find many black people.
Yeah.
And a few black people that you even saw, a few black ladies didn't even say hello. It was really hard.
There's always that. I think they're looking for something else. They're not interested in you. Sorry to cut you, but I think the problem with that, personally, I don't think the problem with that is because they're here hustling, they're here working, they're trying to make ends meet. You're here on the same, with the same mindset, so they're thinking that it's gonna be. It's funny, but this is the reality that we're living.
Yeah, but I think it's not about hustling. It's just about how they look at people when they see you. Black people don't have respect for black people in Europe.
We have this is correct.
Also observed here, but for me, I was just playing football, living my life, and was fortunate to find a good, loving Finnish lady, and I knew right away that just keep it sport and then go forward from there.
And you're 10, 15 years in already.
12 years in marriage.
12 years in, so it actually does work. So that's a typical example. What's your take on this, Mr. Austin?
Well, regarding this marriage thing, I've always have this mentality, even from back home before I came into Europe. I've had this idea that if I get married, I'm never gonna get divorced. I will not sign any paper for divorce because throughout my youthful age, all my life, I've never. They taught us in school about divorce. I've never seen divorce or know anything about divorce until I came to Finland. And
there's a culture that we're from, we hold that in a high esteem.
Marriage, the sacrament of marriage for me, it's something very, very strong that I think once you go into it, that's it for the rest of your life.
Yes,
but in this part of the world, it's a different ballgame. So for me, I didn't have this idea or a plan or something that I was going to get married or going to get settled with a Finn or a black or a Nigerian. No, I was just a career oriented. Then when I came,
very much focused.
Yeah, focused about it. Then I fall in love, and she's an amazing person. And then.
So I'm of a different opinion because my situation is a little different from you guys. When I got here, there's always that impression around the community that we are pressured or we marry, or we get with the Finnish women for an advantage, whether it be to legalize ourselves here and all that. So that kind of triggered my mind a little bit, made me totally close my eyes for where things. I met a few really lovely ladies when I was here, spoke to a few of them, but I never let it extend to that part because I didn't want to be seen as that guy who's gotten with a Finnish woman or Finnish lady for the benefits there is of. Of course, eventually it worked out in my favor, but I think that also is a point of view where some of the people that I know see things also and think, okay, maybe people might see me this way, see me that way, but eventually seeing someone like you who's been in your marriage for 12 years now, seeing someone like Austin who's been in his situation for as many years, and I think Bram Musa also has a story similar, I'm not sure.
Well, it's quite a funny thing, I would say, because just like you mentioned, a lot of people always say that, okay, you get into it because you want this or you want that benefits, you want to stay in the country and blah, 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 blah. But the truth of the matter is, love comes first.
Very important.
Love comes first, and that's very, very important. Of course, for some people, that's not the key. For every side of the story, there is a truth about the story. And that's why we can always say that there is another side of the story.
Yes.
So there are some people that's their reasons, that's their goal, that's why they want what they want. But if you find yourself in a relationship with someone from, let's say, for instance, from Finland, and you found love, so what stops you from being in it?
Definitely. Yeah.
What stops you from staying in it? Okay, I've been in mine, for about 9 years now, and I've really enjoyed it. It's not that there are no differences. There's a big cultural difference. But I believe that if we work hand in hand together, keep some cultures from Africa that shouldn't be brought into Finland. Keep it to yourself.
A lot of them actually, let's be honest.
Keep it to yourself. But you still have to stand the ground that you are an African. Your culture is there. You live it all through your life, so you cannot just erase it. But you can always put things in order. But one thing for me, basically, one thing I look for in a relationship when I came here, because I knew I was going to get married here anyway, and I knew I was going to get married to a Finn. So for me, I was quite sure and clear that I was going to marry to a Finn right from the day.
So you had your plan from the onset.
Absolutely, there was no doubt about that. But meanwhile, I have a characteristic that I was looking for in a lady, which if probably I never found it in Finland, I might probably not get married to a Finn. So that's the point here. I knew that I was going to get married here, but I have what I was looking for in a lady.
Like a particular, kind of person that you wanted.
Exactly. And that actually steered me into looking for. And immediately I found it, I just have to adapt culture-wise. And, well, things have been working for me and my woman for about over 9 years now.
This is the interesting part because the cultural differences will always be there.
Yeah.
So I think the balancing, I can't really say how you guys balance it, but I think the balance is very necessary.
Well, about the cultural difference, you can take that away from anybody. Aside from even the culture, even if you're married to an African lady, it's a thing of personal, character. You have to compromise in order to stay in the relationship.
A lot of things, yeah. Because, like what you said, even if you're married, like somebody like myself who's with a Nigerian woman, we have to, kind of impute a lot of the cultures here into our family, even though we are both from Nigeria. So I think you're making a point, but you were saying something.
Yeah, I just wanted just to clarify regarding this topic because it's a fact that when you talk about 60-70% of Africans are getting too married due to one or two reasons, not like they are willing to do that. I use myself like an example because just to clarify that it's not everybody that is into that. Most of us, when you talk about 40% of us to get married into because of love, we found love and that's it. Because if you talk about papers or whatever the reasons for them to stay here, just to stay in the country. I was a professional football player. I was into a relationship and I still traveled abroad to go play. I was playing in Central America for 2 years and I still had my relationship and I came back. I went to Sweden to play, I still had my relationship. So what will you say about that? Are you saying that...
So basically you're saying that people can actually do without, that pressure of whether, it shouldn't be a thing of a pressure. You can actually decide what you want to do.
It's a matter of choice. It's a matter of choice. When you find love, I think you go for it. Sometimes the people out there should not have this mentality that all foreigners they're just getting married to Finns. Staying in the
interesting you said that, but I think I don't know if we all know that there are certain families from Nigeria whose family will probably not accept a foreign partner for their son or for their daughter. So that also plays a major role. What do you think?
Actually, this question actually relates to me. When I was coming to Finland, my mom said to me, I remember her last words, "Don't get married to a white lady."
Every parent does that.
I mean, you can't blame her because that's how much she knows about it. She's seen doing kind of programs on TV and all this stuff, different stories from different people.
True.
But basically I told her, I said, "Mom, I'm only looking for somebody with a good character. That's all I'm looking for. Brains don't have colors." So we are all...
I like that quote. Brains do not have color.
No,
very, very important.
When you look at the skin color and you start trading on these things, you actually you will miss a really good woman.
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
I focused on just looking for a good character, and when I found one, that was it. That was it for me.
All right, there you have it. Brains do not have color. I believe that we've been able to tackle a few important topics today on living in Finland and living in Europe in general. Our experiences, the people we're with, the things that we do. So we're hoping that this, video teaches people how to integrate. When you get here, ask questions, talk to people, learn the culture so that you can better yourself. Thank you for watching today. I would really like to especially thank my guests. Thank you, Yoke, for coming by. We really appreciate all the, the things that you've said today. I'm sure people can learn one or two things from you. Mr. Austin, we appreciate you coming by,
Thanks,
sharing some of your life experiences with